I'm joined by Emily Maitlis of the News Agents and the News Agents USA. We're going to combine both in our conversation today, in fact. Yeah. Trump and the BBC, it's on.
Yeah, it's properly on, isn't it? And he has this morning, or I guess last night, issued what sounds like a $10 billion lawsuit to the BBC. Two separate sort of claims, if you like. One is that it was seen, this Panorama, the edited version of his speech, was seen in Florida because of an assortment of franchises that BBC used to distribute Panorama, so it could have been seen by Americans in Florida. And the other part is that he thinks it was edited with malicious intent, and he thinks that it was an attempt by the BBC to subvert the election of 2024. Now, I mean, talking to people, it looks very unlikely that a defamation case could be won by Trump over this. The BBC has already apologised. In order to prove malicious intent, you would then have to subpoena so many people, statements, emails, WhatsApps, communications to prove what was in the mind of the producers when they were doing that.
Then nobody wrote, "Get him."
Yeah, nobody sort of like the odd emoji that sort of, gives it away. Yeah. But I guess the point is that if this looks like a sort of real walk down, humiliation lane, then will the BBC want to go through with that? Will they want all that to be in the public, or will they just?
For now, it's saying yes, we will defend ourselves.
They're saying that they will defend.
Yeah,
I mean, I think the BBC wants to sound very strong on that, and I think they've probably got a good case legally, but it's a political thing as much as anything. And one of the questions we're asking on the News Agents today is where the UK public sit on this. I mean, you'll probably get that answer, in 2 seconds, actually. But
well, I'm going to ask that question at 3:00.
It's really interesting. Yeah. If it comes to a battle between the BBC and Trump, where does the UK public sit? And some of the sort of stats we've been looking at from More in Common, from Luke Trill's polling company, suggests that most Britons remain trusting of the BBC, but it's only 53%. Now, to put that in context, a decade ago, that number was 58%. And if you go back to 2010, that was 73%. So
big dip.
The fall off in 15 years has been big. What has caused that? I don't think it was just the BBC itself. I think it's a mixture of, the fragmentation of the media. Yeah. I think it's a lack of trust in institutions more generally, and it's probably also to do with our financial climate as well, which makes people less trusting when they've got less money.
And there's also the question, or within that same question is, does the British public think they did a bad thing, a wrong thing with the edit? Most
they do.
Say yes, yeah.
I mean, it's huge.
But does that mean you throw the baby out with the bathwater and dismiss the BBC? That's a separate
I'm
question,
really interested to see. I mean, I'll be listening in to hear what your own listeners say, but 76% think that the BBC misrepresented Trump's speech. We don't know how that breaks down into whether it was misrepresented intentionally, misrepresented with malice, or misrepresented with sort of clumsiness.
But he's added an element, hasn't he? Have a listen to this. This is what he had to say yesterday on the BBC, in fact.
In a little while you'll be seeing I'm suing the BBC for putting words in my mouth, literally. They put words in my mouth. They had me saying things that I never said coming out. I guess they used AI or something. So we'll be bringing that lawsuit. A lot of people are asking, when are you bringing that lawsuit? Even the media can't believe that one. They actually put terrible words in my mouth having to do with January 6th that I didn't say. And the beautiful words that I said, right? The beautiful words. Talking about patriotism and all of the good things that I said, they didn't say that, but they put terrible words. They actually have me speaking with words that I never said.
Oh,
that goes further,
where
doesn't
do you
it?
start? I mean, the level of self-delusion in that is extraordinary, because what Panorama did and what it's admitted to is taking a bit from the earlier part of his speech and scissoring it straight with a bit that came an hour later.
Without making that clear.
They were all his words. They were all in the speech. There was no AI. They were words that came from his mouth. So just put that one to bed. There is not an accusation that AI was used and that he'd never said any of it. And so there is a sort of level here of self-delusion, which is, what does he now think he didn't say any of it? Because what we know, we can play back the speech in its entirety, and we see he said all those words, but he said the first part of the sentence nearly an hour before the second part of the sentence. So, I think it gets complicated. One of the reasons why lawyers think this is not really a legal challenge so much as a political challenge is that the kind of I've been right through the lawsuit itself. It's 46 pages, and he pulls up every advent in the documentary where the BBC interviewed a critic of his. Now, I'm not sure that you can say it's defamation.
Because somebody spoke to somebody who doesn't like you.
Yeah, I mean, they also spoke to supporters. They also spoke to followers. They also spoke to fans and voters.
And him.
He doesn't mention those, and him.
Yeah.
But the fact that he says, they spoke to this, Democrat, this House Democrat, they spoke to Robert Reich from the Clinton administration, they spoke to Rick Wilson, who is, an author, a sort of self-professed Trump hater. I'm not sure that's a case for defamation. It certainly isn't in America, where the latitude you have to insult public figures is pretty big. That is what the whole First Amendment's about.
He wrote this tweet in response to Rob Reiner's hideous death alongside his wife Michelle.
Yeah.
Their son Nick's been arrested for murder. I don't think I've ever seen him say anything weirder, if I'm honest. And I wonder whether some of this, James was suggesting earlier on, it might be a response to that he's realised he's gone too far and wants everyone to talk about something else.
It is extraordinary having a figure that has the power to heal, the power to bring people together, the power to say things that could be consoling.
And he can do that. He can do that.
Well, we've seen Obama do it. We've seen Clinton do it. At times of tragedy or at times of personal grief, we've seen presidents use their platform to bring people together. And Trump has just accused, essentially, he's blamed Rob Reiner for his own murder. It's hard to see how it gets more tasteless than that, isn't it? That somebody who could be in a position of saying, we may have had political differences, but what a great man, and we loved his films, which is how the day started, actually. I remember reading that in the morning and thinking, well done, that's a great response. You might not have liked me as a politician, but I can admire the brilliant films that you made.
Huge legacy.
And suddenly he turns it inside out and starts blaming Reiner for his own death, his own murder, by suggesting that somebody who didn't like his politics because they were so bizarre was out to get him. It is a truly narcissistic place to find yourself, whether when a sort of a Hollywood icon's death is somehow all about you.